Okay, hello everyone. Today is our Dharma assembly to celebrate GuanYin Bodhisattva's birthday. So it's a very auspicious event. So I'm so glad to see so many of you coming back to the temple because we are officially reopened. Thank you. I'm so glad to see you still alive. Did anyone get sick or had to go to the ICU at all? Huh? Especially, you young ladies. Huh? So much suffering. That's why in this world, YongHua Bodhisattva had to come to the world to rescue us, to give us some relief. And I need to repent to you as well. I said to you, I promised I would help California, New York, Taiwan, and South Korea. So my disciple helped Taiwan, seems to be okay so far. Korea seems to be doing okay as well. California is fine as well. But New York has an uptick of infections. Why is that? Because I took my eyes off the ball. I forgot about New York. I've been so busy. I'm so sorry, New Yorkers. Okay, so the pandemic thing here is causing a lot of suffering, and this is. I hope this Dharma assembly would help a little bit towards that. But the reason, going back to the point, the reason that GuanYin Bodhisattva manifested, being born to this world, is as in a legend of Miao Shan in China, and she was born to a royal family. And when she was born, her purpose was to even in the royal family, her purpose was to teach by example. What did she do? First of all, there were some very auspicious signs when she was born. That is, the earth shook. There are flowers, I believe, falling from the skies. And her body was wrapped in some multicolored clouds. And so, you see, those are miraculous signs that tells you that this person is not an ordinary person. She's here. It's a very special person who decided to come to our world to do something important. Okay? She was born as a third daughter into a royal family, and therefore the father king was very unhappy of that. He was wishing for a son to continue the lineage. But no, it had to be a third daughter in a row. So she was not liked, not loved by the father at all. Actually, she was abused. And what did she do? She chose to cultivate. She didn't want to get married at all. Okay, so because she felt that this life is full of suffering and everything is so impermanent, and so she had to do something to change it, to provide some relief. So she decided to cultivate. Okay, and it probably for most of us is not practical because we have commitments to our families, to our children, to our parents. But the point she's trying to make is that no matter what your circumstances, whether you're rich or have influence, like she was born, but the father punished her and put her in very dire conditions. No money, no food, abuses, physical as well as mental. And so this is, in spite of that, she still cultivated. And that's the point. That's the lesson. She says, in spite of, no matter what our circumstances, the most important thing she felt that we could do is cultivate with what we can, okay, with what we have. And that's, to me, is a very important lesson because that's the meaning of life. When you get to be a little bit older, like me, and then you realize that what did I do with my life? And so the one important constant and one more important thing that mattered to her from a young age to until the time she died, she cultivated. That was her interest. All right. So that's the lesson she was trying to teach us. And number 2 lesson for her to manifest being born in this world was to what? Anyone knows? Serve. Huh? What did she do? Second teaching point. What did she come to our world for? Anyone knows? Why did she come to China to do what? It's not being done anymore. It's not the important thing in the Chinese culture anymore. But back then, she came to China to teach them a very, very important lesson. What is that? Anyone else? Miao Shan. Go back. Anyone knows the story of Miao Shan? Princess Miao Shan. The legend of Princess Miao Shan. No? Oh my God. The pandemic kind of wiped out all your memories. Huh? Do you know? Huh? See, she used to raise her hand every time I have a question. She said, I know. Oh. Now it's like after a year, she lost momentum. Forgot everything. Huh? Didn't quite remember. Huh? Anyone? Miao Shan. So you don't remember the story? I'll tell you briefly. Okay, we don't have time. Miao Shan was born as a 3rd princess, and the father was very unhappy. Father King was very unhappy, so he mistreated her, but she never complained. And then, a question and answer from San Jose. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go for his question.
Hello.
Yes.
Dạ.
Go ahead.
Dạ. Dạ thưa thầy, con nhớ cái câu chuyện của Chúa Diệu Thiện á, thì ông vua cha rất là hiếu chiến, hay đi chiến tranh của xâm lăng nhiều nước, nhưng mà cái lòng từ bi của công chúa thì lúc nào cũng muốn cõng ông vua, có nhiều lần không có cho nên không có trong 2 đứa con gái thì công chúa Diệu Thiện là con gái út, con gái thứ 3. Thì theo con nghe cái câu chuyện cũng lâu rồi là như vậy, nhưng mà trong lúc sau này khi ông vua bị quả báo bệnh vì có nhiều cái công chúa muốn đi tu để đi tu để mà cứu cho cha, thì ông vua không có thích, không có đồng ý là một công chúa không có thể nào đi tu cực khổ được, không có cho cản, mà công chúa thì cứ lén hay cứ nhắc đến đi tu, cho nên sau này vua nổi giận cho công chúa vô trong cái nhà kho chứa đồ đó, ở trong đó chứ không có được ở trong cung. Ngay chỗ cái phòng cũ có hai dài cho đi làm là dịch giống như là đi tiếp múc nước là gì vậy đó trong cái chỗ đó. Nhưng mà công chúa cũng không có than phiền gì hết. Sau này công chúa khi mà chiến tranh lên, công chúa lẻn đi ra ngoài và cứu được một số dân nhà vua, rồi và có cái ý muốn đi tu, nhà vua nổi giận cho nên là không có nhịn công chúa luôn, đuổi công chúa ra khỏi cung. Sau này sau này nhiều năm sau, khi ông vua đã già, ông bị bệnh và có một vị lương y nói là phải cần con mắt để nấu chân thuốc, nấu ông vua mới uống mới hết. Thì tới tay công chúa, lúc đó công chúa đã tu ở trên núi, đã đi ra khỏi hoàng cung tu trên núi rất là lâu. Thì người ta mới nói là chỉ có một vị tu sĩ ở trên núi đó có thể là cứu được nhà vua. Bao nhiêu lương y đến cứu không có được, không có ai. Mà trong hoàng cung thì hai cô công chúa kia cũng không có dám, không có thể là từ chối, không có dám dùng con mắt mình để cho cha uống. Thì khi công chúa nguyện với đức khi người ta cho tìm lên tới cái trên núi tìm đến công chúa, mà người ta không biết là công chúa, chỉ nói là một vị tu sĩ tu ở trên đó, bị vì công chúa tu ẩn. Cho nên khi đến tìm công chúa thì công chúa có nguyện với Phật là cũng như là dùng đôi mắt của mình á, nếu mà cứu được cha thì nếu mà lòng thành được thì có thể có lời đôi mắt khác. Thì khi nguyện mà khi đến người ta đem móc đôi mắt cho người ta đem đi cho quân lính đi về, đem về nấu cho nhà vua, và nhà vua đã khỏi. Và sau đó công chúa được đôi mắt trở lại theo câu chuyện.
Oh, she has a happy ending story. My legend is a lot more sorrowful.
Master, I heard about the story about this princess. So the father, he used to go and invade a lot of country, and she's the daughter number 3, because the father caused a lot of war like that. So he got the retribution and he fell ill. And then the story is about this princess trying to rescue the father. So the daughter, she really wants to cultivate, but the father didn't allow to. And then she insists on, so in the end the father was so angry, he locked her up in the storage room, and then she has to do labor work like carry the water or whatever. But this princess didn't get afflicted or didn't complain. And then during the war, she even tried to escape, went out and rescue some people. The king learned about that. He was so angry, and then he drive her away from the palace. And the king, after a while, when he get older, he falls sick. All of the royal doctor couldn't help him and say that his illness required to have an eye to put in to make the medicine. And nobody can rescue, can help. But then they learned that there's a nun, a cultivator that cultivate in the mountain. They didn't know that it was the third princess, but they say that because she's a good cultivator, so if you can have her eyes, then it can cure the king's illnesses. So they went up to the mountain and request to have the eyes from this cultivator. And the third princess, nobody know her identity, but then she make a vow that if I can use this eye to help my father, and then with my sincerity, I vow that I will have a new eyes. So when the official went up to the mountain. She gave them her eyes. They use it to make the medicine, and then the king, it cured the king's illnesses. And then after that, the princess now is the cultivator. She has her new eyes. So that's the story.
Okay, that's a good story. All right, my story is slightly different. Actually, the princess was mistreated by the father, forced to do manual labor, carry water, carry wood, doing manual labor in the royal palace because she refused to get married as per his order. And she says, I'm not going to change my mind. So the father says, if you really want to cultivate, I'll send you to the monastery for you to experience a life of a full-time cultivator. So he sent her to this monastery in the mountain, very far away, and ordered the head of the nunnery to really, really abuse his daughter. And so she suffered both physical as well as mental abuse. And yet she never gave up, never gave in. Actually, she was forced to carry water in for the nunnery and then to tend to the garden. And in spite of, on her own. And she did it without complaining, and all of a sudden, in the kitchen, near the kitchen, a well appeared so that she doesn't have to go down the mountain to carry water. And then in the winter, she had to tend to the garden, and the garden had fruits and had vegetables, okay, all year, even in the winter. So the father heard of those feats, and he was even more exasperated. So he sent his soldiers to the nunnery to kill them all, to punish the daughter as well as the nuns for not helping him punish the daughter, for failing to punish the daughter for him. So the soldiers came, and all of a sudden there's a fog, thick fog that covered the nunnery, the mountain, so the soldiers couldn't see anything. So by the time the fog was lifted, the soldier killed every single nun, except for one. Miao Shan, the nun, was whisked away by a spirit into another area already, an area called Fragrant Mountain. And that's where she cultivated for a while, for a long time on her own. Okay. And later, the king father fell sick, so he couldn't find any cure by any of the best doctors in the world. So all of a sudden, there's a monk who appeared and says, for this king here to be cured, there's only one solution. You have to find the eyes and the arms of someone who's never angry. Never angry. Okay? Never, ever angry. See, Miao Shan was mistreated her entire life, and she was never, never angry. Okay? And the king said, that's impossible. How can anyone be angry and not ever be angry? So the monk says, well, you send someone to that mountain called Fragrant Mountain. There's someone there who's never angry. Yeah. And so the king sent someone there, and they found Miao Shan, who was practicing on her own. And the emissary told Miao Shan of the story and asked her for her eyes and her arms. Okay, and Miao Shan says, it's my father who is incurring a retribution for his grave offenses. Okay, not only killing, not only abusing people, but also killing the nuns. Even though the nuns are not sages, when you kill the nuns, you are killing the representatives of the Buddha, the representatives of the sagely Sangha. It's very, very serious offense. Okay? And so that's why Miao Shan says, that's why my father is incurring this retribution. So what did he do? She says, here, take my eyes and my arms, bring them back to the king. And so the emissary did that and came back, and they put the eyes through a mortar, and the arms through a meat grinder. I think Hobart meat grinder. Yeah, Hobart. And they made some medicine out of it, and miraculously, the king was cured. So the king and the mother and the queen and the two daughters wanted to travel to, they traveled to the Fragrant Mountain to thank the benefactor. Didn't know it was Miao Shan. The one moment they saw Miao Shan without the eyes and without the arms, they recognized her. Hey, that's Miao Shan, without eyes, without arms. And so the mother cried and so forth. And she, the moment she tried to get close to Miao Shan, there's an explosion with a lot of smokes. And in the midst of smoke arose GuanYin Bodhisattva with 1,000 eyes and hands. Now you understand why eyes and hands. You give up 2 eyes and 2 hands, you get 1,000 in return. See? So everyone bowed. Oh wow, GuanYin Bodhisattva appeared, and then that's why the king and the mother and everyone was impressed and supported Buddhism and turned towards the good. Okay. Yes. Spider boy.
Master, he has a side question.
Mm-hmm.
He's asking, why is his Gong living at the temple?
A what?
Why is his grandfather living at the temple?
His father living at
His
the temple.
grandfather.
His grandfather living at the temple because he's happier here. When he lives in the temple, okay, we feed him every day. We protect him from the rain and the wind and the sun. And he's comfortable here. And every day, believe it or not, he bows to the Buddha, chants the Buddha's name, recites mantras. Okay? So those are the good things that he does to keep him busy and happy. That's the same reason most people live in a temple, because we're happier here. Ding! A halo behind my head. Special effects. Okay, does it help? People live here because they're happy. If they're not happy, they would run away. And some did. Yes. Green.
The princess transformed into GuanYin.
Yes. 1,000 eyes, 1,000 hands going like this. Can you imagine 1,000 hands moving? It's that scary. You think it's funny? This is why the ghosts are so scared of it. Because when 1,000 hands and eyes GuanYin appear, the hands and eyes are shifting like this, with holding weapons. It's a very scary spectacle, trust me. Yes, Green, continue.
There was an exhibit in the Natural History Museum in LA, and it was the route of. It was called the route of the Silk Road.
The Silk Road, yes.
The Silk Road.
Yes.
And there was an exhibit they had a place where they had a lot of stones, and there was one small statue, and I got surprised because there was no name on it, and if it wouldn't, because I know Buddhism now, I probably wouldn't know, but it was a small statue of GuanYin, and it said there just Chinese lady.
Very good. Yeah, they with the Silk Road, they brought the Buddhism. Buddhism went along, was spread through via the Silk Road as well. Yes.
Yeah, but what I was surprised is that they didn't know who was that statue. They just said Chinese lady.
Chinese lady. Yeah, but that's what matters.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that easy to know about GuanYin. Okay. Because most people don't have enough blessings to recognize, to know about GuanYin, to recognize GuanYin. So it takes a lot of blessings. It's not that easy. Because if once you know GuanYin, that you understand what GuanYin is about. GuanYin is a person that you can always count on when you're in pain, when you're suffering. Okay? And Miao Shan, which is a manifestation of GuanYin in China back then, came to the world to teach us a very important lesson, to be filial to our parents. Her entire life is about being filial to the parents, to the point, to the extreme. That is, she felt that it's okay to sacrifice her eyes and her hands without any hesitation to save the father, even though he was unhappy with her entire life. He abused her entire life since birth until the day that she became blind and armless. Okay? And yet, she's still filial to the parents, filial to the father. And that's why the Chinese culture is superior in that sense. These great beings went over there and taught them these important lessons. We have to be filial to our parents. Was she unfilial when she refused to get married and only was focusing on having a pure life and even at the palace or at the nunnery? Okay, it's also another form of filial piety as well, believe it or not. Okay, leaving the home life is a fairly filial act. Okay, so overall, at first she refused to obey the father, which is unfilial. Okay, but if you look at the story of her life, overall she is extremely filial because she saves not only her father's life, but also taught a very important lesson for mankind, to the Chinese who lost it. Okay, and if Mahayana is here in this country, I hope that we understand the importance of that lesson. Filiality. Okay, we need to take care of our parents, and you are filial to the utmost. Okay, then you make sure your parents are taken care of not only during this lifetime, but also next lifetimes, meaning help them go to the Pure Land. Okay? That was not taught to the Chinese. Okay? We can do it better than them in that we can try to understand filiality, practice filiality, and more importantly, in this Dharma ending age, help our parents go to the Pure Land. You cannot be more filial than that. They'll never know suffering ever again. Okay? All right. Any other questions? Okay. that's it for it today then. Thank you all. And we take a short break and come back for a lunch offering and some prayers to help the oppressed Asian who are under attack right now. That's more sufferings in the world. All right, thank you.